The signal. The monitoring station orbiting Neptune was humanity's furthest permanent outpost, a lonely sentinel watching the cosmos for any sign that we weren't alone. Commander Sarah Chen had been stationed there for 8 months, leading a crew of 12 specialists who rotated through 6-month shifts. Most days were routine, tracking asteroids, monitoring solar radiation, and maintaining the massive array of sensors that listen to the universe's whispers. That changed on a Tuesday at 0347 hours, Earth Standard Time. "Commander, you need to see this," Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez called from his station, his voice carrying an edge of excitement that cut through the quiet hum of the control room. Sarah pushed off from her desk, floating gracefully through the zero-gravity environment to Marcus's workstation. The display showed a pattern unlike anything in their databases. It wasn't random cosmic noise or a pulsar's rhythmic beating. The signal had structure, repetition, and most importantly, it was artificial. Sarah's heart rate quickened as she studied the data streaming across multiple screens. "How long has this been coming in?" she asked, gripping the edge of the console to steady herself. "Started about 20 minutes ago. It's coming from the direction of Kepler 442b, approximately 1/200 light-years out. But here's the strange part. The signal's using a form of quantum entanglement communication. It's real-time, Commander. This isn't an ancient message traveling through space. Someone or something is broadcasting right now." Sarah felt the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. First contact protocols were clear. Observe, document, report to Earth Command, and wait for instructions. But as she continued analyzing the signal, a pattern emerged that made her blood run cold. The mathematical sequences weren't just communication. They were displaying decreasing values in a countdown pattern. "It's a distress signal," whispered Dr. Elena Vasquez, the station's xenolinguist, who had been quietly analyzing the patterns from her adjacent station. "Look at these recursive loops. They're indicating system failures, depleting resources. Someone's in trouble." The control room fell silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. Every person present understood the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Not only was this humanity's first confirmed contact with alien intelligence, but that intelligence was calling for help. Sarah made a decision that would later be debated in history books for centuries. "Rodriguez, can you pinpoint the exact origin?" "Already working on it. The quantum signature suggests they're much closer than Kepler 442b. Maybe." "Wait, this can't be right." Marcus rechecked his calculations 3 times before looking up with wide eyes. "Commander, if these readings are accurate, they're only 47 astronomical units from our position, just beyond the Kuiper belt." "That's impossible," Chief Engineer Tom Bradley interjected, floating over to verify the data. "We would have detected any vessel that close." He stopped mid-sentence as the implications hit him. "Unless they've been using some kind of stealth technology that just failed." Sarah's mind raced through the possibilities. An alien vessel, cloaked and observing humanity, now in distress and revealing itself out of desperation. The protocol said to wait for Earth Command, but Earth was 4 hours away by light-speed communication. 8 hours minimum for a response. The countdown sequences in the signal suggested they had maybe 12 hours before complete system failure. "Vasquez, can you decode enough to understand what kind of help they need?" Elena's fingers danced across her keyboard, running the signal through every decryption algorithm they had, then creating new ones on the fly. "They're using mathematical constants as a baseline. Pi, prime numbers, the hydrogen line. Give me 30 minutes and I might have something basic." Sarah turned to address the entire room. "Listen up, everyone. We're looking at a potential rescue mission. I know this goes against protocols, but if that countdown is accurate, waiting for Earth means letting them die. We have the mining vessel Perseverance docked for resupply. It's got the range and life support for an extended mission. Commander," Security Chief James Park spoke carefully, "we don't know their intentions. This could be a trap." "It could be," Sarah agreed. "But put yourself in their position. You're dying in the void, and the only ones who can help are a species you've been watching, maybe studying. Would you reveal yourself if you had any other choice?" The room was quiet as her words sank in. Then Tom Bradley spoke up. "The Perseverance can be ready in 4 hours. I'll need to modify our universal docking collar, create some kind of adaptive interface. No telling what their ship design looks like." "Do it," Sarah commanded, then turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've received an alien distress signal and are mounting a rescue operation. Include all our data." They'll get it in 4 hours, and by then we'll already be on our way. The next few hours were controlled chaos. The skeleton crew of the monitoring station worked with an efficiency born of years of training and simulation. They'd practiced for every conceivable emergency except this one, yet their preparation served them well. Tom Bradley and his team performed miracles of engineering, creating an adaptive docking system that could accommodate various hull configurations and atmospheric compositions. Dr. Vasquez made breakthrough after breakthrough with the signal. "Commander, I've got something. They're carbon-based, oxygen breathers like us, but they need a slightly different atmospheric mix. More nitrogen, less oxygen. We can accommodate that. They're also indicating structural damage to their vessel and, oh my God, what is it? They have children aboard. The mathematical sequence here. It's indicating smaller mass life forms, protected status, priority for resources. Commander, it's a family ship or a colony vessel." That settled any lingering doubts. Sarah suited up in her EVA gear, selecting her best crew for the mission. Marcus would handle navigation. Tom would lead engineering support. Elena would manage communications, and James would provide security, though Sarah hoped it wouldn't be needed. As they boarded the Perseverance, Sarah took one last look at the monitoring station. She was about to lead humanity's first rescue mission to aid an alien species. Whatever happened next would change everything. The mining vessel's engines hummed to life, powerful but efficient drives that could push them to a significant fraction of light speed for short bursts. As they pulled away from the station, Sarah opened a communication channel on the frequency the aliens had used. Elena had prepared a response using the same mathematical concepts the aliens had employed. It was simple but clear. "Help is coming. Maintain life support. We are friends." The response was immediate, a burst of synchronized pulses that Elena translated as acknowledgement and what might have been relief or gratitude. It was hard to tell with such limited linguistic data, but the emotional content seemed universal. As the Perseverance accelerated toward the edge of the solar system, Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had always wondered if we were alone, if we would be welcomed or feared when we finally met others among the stars. Now they were about to find out, not as conquerors or the conquered, but as rescuers extending a helping hand across the cosmic void. The rescue, the journey to the coordinates, took 18 hours at maximum burn. As they approached, the Perseverance's sensors finally detected the alien vessel, and the bridge fell silent at the sight that filled their screens. The ship was elegant in a way that defied human engineering sensibilities. Crystalline structures interwoven with what appeared to be organic components, the hull seeming to ripple with bioluminescent patterns that grew dimmer by the hour. "It's beautiful," Marcus breathed, his pilot's appreciation for spacecraft evident in his voice. "Look at those lines. It's like someone grew a ship rather than built it." "Scans show severe damage to what I'm assuming is their primary power generation system," Tom reported, his engineer's eye catching details others might miss. "The hull's intact, but there are energy fluctuations throughout the vessel. They're running on emergency power, and it's failing fast." Sarah nodded, her command training taking over. "Marcus, bring us alongside, nice and slow. Tom, prepare the adaptive collar. Elena, transmit our peaceful intentions again and see if you can establish more complex communication." As they drew closer, details became clearer. The alien vessel was roughly 3 times the size of the Perseverance, its crystalline hull scarred by what looked like micrometeorite impacts and radiation burns. It had been in space for a very long time. "Commander, I'm getting a more complex transmission," Elena announced. "They're sending, I think it's a schematic of their docking system. They're trying to help us connect." The next hour was a delicate dance of 2 vessels built by different species, with different technologies, trying to join together in the hostile vacuum of space. Tom's adaptive collar worked better than expected, the smart materials responding to the alien hull's configuration and creating an airtight seal. Atmospheric analysis complete, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the mission's medical officer, reported. "We can breathe their air with minor filtration. I recommend keeping helmets on but visors open. It'll show trust while maintaining safety." Sarah was the first through the airlock, James at her side with his hand resting on his sidearm. Not threatening, but ready. The transition from the Perseverance to the alien vessel was surreal. The corridors were taller than human standard, with curved walls that glowed with soft bioluminescent light. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something floral. They encountered the aliens 30 meters in. Sarah's first thought was that they were beautiful in their strangeness. They stood roughly 7 feet tall, with elongated limbs and skin that seemed to shimmer with the same patterns as their ship's hull. Their faces were vaguely humanoid, but with larger eyes that reflected light like a cat's and no visible nose. Just small slits that flared with each breath. The one in front, wearing what appeared to be ornate robes suggesting authority, stepped forward slowly, hands visible and spread in what Sarah hoped was a universal gesture of peace. When it spoke, the sounds were melodic, almost like singing, but Elena's translation program, now enhanced with hours of signal analysis, managed to parse meaning. Welcome, helpers, gratitude, dying, children. Sarah removed her helmet slowly, making sure her movements were clearly visible. The alien's eyes widened, surprise, recognition, and it touched its chest, then gestured to her. Human, Sarah said clearly, touching her own chest, then gesturing to her team. We're here to help. What followed was a crash course in xenoengineering. The Zelathi, as they called themselves, had been traveling for the equivalent of 300 Earth years. They were refugees, Elena learned through painstaking translation, fleeing a dying world. Their biomechanical ship had served them well until a solar flare from our sun had overloaded their organic power systems. The problem, Tom discovered, was both simple and complex. The Zelathi's technology was based on bioelectrical systems, living circuits that had been damaged by the radiation. They could self-repair, but only if given the right conditions and energy input. The Zelathi's own power reserves were too depleted to initiate the healing process. It's like jump-starting a car, Tom explained to Sarah as they stood in what served as the alien ship's engineering section, surrounded by pulsing organic conduits that looked more like a garden than a machine room. But instead of a battery, we need to kickstart their biological processors. Can we do it? Tom grinned, the kind of smile that had earned humanity its reputation for stubborn ingenuity. Commander, give me 6 hours, some copper wiring from our reserves, and about 50 gallons of our synthetic glucose solution from the hydroponics bay. While Tom worked his magic, Sarah found herself in what the Zelathi called their community chamber, a large spherical room where dozens of aliens had gathered. Many were clearly children, smaller, their skin patterns more vibrant, their movements quicker and more playful despite the crisis. One young Zelathi approached Sarah cautiously, offering her what looked like a crystalline flower that chimed softly when moved. The adult Zelathi who had first greeted them, who Elena learned was named something like Shimshar in their melodic language, explained through increasingly sophisticated translation that the gift was significant. The children only gave the chiming flowers to those they trusted, those they considered protectors. Your species, young, Shimshar communicated, the translation getting clearer as Elena's programs learned. We watched, decided, no contact, not ready. But now, choice was death or trust. How long have you been watching us? Sarah asked. Your time. 40 rotations around your star. We saw your wars, but also your peace. Saw your cruelty, but also your kindness. Decided to wait, let you grow. Then this. He gestured to their failing ship. Sarah felt the weight of representation on her shoulders. These beings had judged humanity for 4 decades, seen our worst and best, and in their desperate hour, they had still called out for help. She wouldn't let them down. Tom's solution was elegantly crude in the way only human engineering could be. He created a biological battery using the glucose solution as an electrolyte, copper wiring as conductors, and some modified equipment from the Perseverance's medical bay. When he activated it, the entire Zelathi ship shuddered, its bioluminescent patterns flaring bright before settling into a healthy, steady pulse. The celebration that followed transcended species barriers. The Zelathi sang, their natural communication method when expressing joy, and the harmonies resonated through the ship's living hull, creating a symphony unlike anything humans had ever heard. The children danced around the human crew, their skin patterns shifting in what seemed to be laughter. Shimshar approached Sarah with what the translation indicated was a formal proposal. You have saved us, demonstrated your species' readiness. We offer knowledge and partnership, friendship. What kind of knowledge? Sarah asked, though she knew any answer would change humanity forever. Medical. Our biological mastery could cure your diseases. Navigation. We know paths between stars. Most importantly, you are not alone. Many species exist. We can introduce when you are ready. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. In trying to save one ship of refugees, they had opened a door to the universe. On behalf of humanity, I accept your offer of friendship. The journey back to the monitoring station was different. The Zelathi ship, now fully functional, followed the Perseverance, its crew learning about humans while teaching about themselves. Elena was in her element, developing a full translation protocol. Tom was deep in technical discussions about biomechanical integration. Even James had relaxed, sharing stories of Earth with curious Zelathi through pantomime and broken translations. As they approached Neptune's orbit, Sarah knew the universe had changed. The monitoring station had already received Earth's response. Initial panic, then cautious approval of her actions, then excitement at the possibilities. Ships were already being dispatched, diplomats and scientists aboard. But in that moment, watching human and Zelathi children play together in the Perseverance's observation deck, their laughter needing no translation, Sarah knew the most important change had already occurred. Humanity had been tested with a choice to help or to hide, to trust or to fear, and we had chosen compassion. The signal that had started as a cry for help had become a bridge between worlds. And as Sarah watched Earth grow larger in the viewport, she knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors but as helpers, friends and fellow travelers among the stars. The Zelathi had been right to wait, to let humanity mature. But they had been even more right to trust us when they needed help. Because if there was one thing that defined humanity, it was our ability to rise to the occasion when others needed us most. As the two ships settled into orbit around Neptune, beginning what would become known as the First Contact Accords, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The universe had called for help and humanity had answered. And in doing so, we had found our place among the stars.